Welcome to our quick shift session. I'm now replacing Bruno Sauer, the CEO of the Spanish Green Building Council. Raquel, you need to tell me afterwards how I did. Bruno is one of the initiators of the SHIFT initiative, which we launched or initiated together. And I'm very happy to have Sebastian Koth here from the Technical University of Munich, who's like one of the first mover. He was part of the discussion when there was not even the name SHIFT yet. We have Juergen Benson-Strohmayer here. He's an architect and I think you were as well virtually with us in that legendary workshop we did in Paris in February next year, where we had some people on the screen staying with us all night from India to participate in the discussion. And we have here Raquel Díez, Head of Content and Development from the GBCE España. And with that, Raquel, I hand over to you for the first perspective on the policy angle of what SHIFT could hopefully achieve.
Yeah, thank you very much for having GBCE España in this session. So I'm going to share my screen. So please tell me if you see it. Is it okay? Do you see the presentation?
It's here.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. So I'm gonna do a very quick presentation about the work we are doing about introducing the passive comfort in the Spanish building code. It's a work that it's being carried out by us, Green Building Council España, then by the Association of Insulation Manufacturers and the Koth come from the social side and social justice, and then CESCA is the part from the architects, is the entity that unites the Chamber of Architects in Spain. So I'm going to go quickly through this content, and in this sense we have to be aware of the why we need to introduce this in the building code, the gap we have in this building code, what is our proposal, the results and the value limits that we expect to have, why is it important? It is important to regulate this, how we are on where we are in the proposal and the conclusions. So the why is related to the fact that the thermal comfort is not explicitly regulated in the Spanish building code, which is called CTE, and the limit to building demand, it was something that it was required before, but now there are only limit to E values of the elements of the thermal enclosure. In Spain, more than 20% of the households are in energy poverty. So this is introducing this passive comfort is in coherence with the energy transition, and that shouldn't depend only on the active systems. And then the third question of the why is passive comfort allows to have acceptable thermal conditions with low energy demand. The gap we have in the Spanish building code is related that this thermal comfort is mentioned, but there's not a clear definition about it. So the current approach evaluates air temperatures, dry bulb, and consumption, but not the operative temperature, which is what people actually feel. And in that sense, this results in compliance with the standard that establishes this building code, but without guaranteeing a comfort, and sometimes resulting in oversizing of air conditioning units or heat pumps units, which is particularly damaging for these vulnerable households as we expect to benefit with this proposal. The proposal is to have an objective system for assessing the passive comfort consisting of mainly three elements. The main indicator would be the operative temperature, which is a simplified measure of human thermal comfort derived from air temperature, but also mean radiant temperature and air speed. Then the comfort range proposed is between 19 and 26 degrees instead of having one single air temperature like it is in the current situation. And then take into consideration the degree hours outside the comfort range. So taking into consideration a combination of the duration of the discomfort, but also the extent of the discomfort, which provide a realistic measures of the building's passive performance. In this sense, 3 calculations are proposed. The first one is an evaluation without the use of active systems, so to say, having the building in free floating mode. Then having into consideration climate adapted shading, which means that an activation of the 70% of them are put in place when the indoor temperature exceeds 25 degrees. And then adapted to free ventilation, having up to 10 renovations per hour if the outdoor is cooler than the indoor conditions. And then the idea is that the proposal can be adapted to different realities, such as climate, the climatic zone, the season, or other conditions to be considered. So the results and limit values expected is that we consider that after applying the methodology to typical building types, multifamily and single family, and different orientations, acceptable levels of discomfort, both cold and heat, are identified. So not too demanding, consistent with the E-values of the building code that are already required, sensitive to compactness, orientation, and percentages of wall openings, and allowing a flexible architectural solution in relation to these 2 points that well-designed buildings can reduce the thermal protection required by the code, and the limit for unfavorable buildings can be adjusted to improve the building envelope. And to continue with why it is important to regulate the passive comfort, we have these 3 main ideas behind the concept. Is that a home that keeps its own comfort reduces, of course, energy demand, lower the bills, and increases energy independence while improving health. It is key to alleviate energy poverty and adapt to climate change, to heat waves and heat islands that are very relevant in our country. And at the same time, having this aligned with the framework of levels, EPBD and EED, and the energy efficiency first principle. And finally, current simulation tools are really already allowing this methodology to be applied without the need for complex development. And it is the methodology proposed indeed is based on the French one, which is already in place and proved to be implementable. The progress in this work is as follows. We have held already a first meeting to present the proposal to the ministry in charge of the building code in mid-January. There was a great interest from their side, and they desire to continue with this discussion and work on the methodology together and facilitate the discussion for the future version of the CD. And finally, the conclusions, and sorry, I'm 1 minute beyond, but these proposals takes advantage of the need to review already the CTE, and this structural change will mean move from buildings that comply with the regulations to buildings that truly protect people. Then integrating passive comfort is a technical, social, and climatically essential measure. And after initial contact, we are really available to work with the public authorities to refine these limits, scenarios, and methodology. And they are also willing to work with us. So let's see what comes next. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Raquel. That quick insight into one of the working areas of SHIFT, which is to influence or design policies based on learning from the Global South on low-tech and adaptivity. So, and I hand over now to Sebastian from the Technical University of Munich. I know your PhD thesis was about adaptive comfort, but we're not going to talk about that. You're going to give a little insight in where's the university and research part of SHIFT, because learning means we need as well to bring together educators, students, universities globally. So, Basti, over to you.
Thank you. All right, let me see if... Okay, I hope you can see that. That looks good. Okay,
Yeah,
so yeah, I'd love to talk about this kind of second pillar of what we do with Shift, right? There's the projects and the examples that we show of real built architecture around the globe of kind of informing our new image of what sustainable, climate responsive, culturally rooted, what that looks like. And Raquel just talked about the kind of informing of policies and how Shift kind of integrates our learnings into real world kind of applicable policy frameworks. I kind of want to talk about the strategy aspect. And the strategy is this university network where what we need to kind of understand as a ground truth is that the way we think about architecture is very much informed by the climate zones we're in. And we see that with current climate change, we're in a time where these climate zones are shifting. Right. And so what we design for today for a kind of local architecture is something that will have to deal with a future climate that we don't really kind of understand maybe from a historic standpoint. And so if we think about how Berlin will have the same climate as Rome today by 2050, it's something where in the two images that we see on the right, we have an architecture or an urban understanding that doesn't follow this climate zone of the future. And so the idea behind this university network is to get a deeper understanding and an exchange with these climate zones and kind of experience, lived and kind of historic experience of dealing with certain climates that we might face in a future to come. And so we've kind of the first start that we had at the Technical University of Munich was an exchange with the University of Hawaii, then with the University of Valencia, and we have a couple other universities now lined up for kind of future seminars and engagements of research and kind of student projects, where we try to exchange these ideas of fundamental strategies to climate responsiveness. So it's not about technical solutions or overly complex kind of fixes that require maintenance and kind of money and all these kind of this fragility that we need to accept, but it's finding about these kind of robust solutions that we break down in a way that become tangible. So not project related, but transferable as physiological, psychological, physical principles that we kind of distill into these very simple schematics that people can use in all projects. So yeah, I'll just kind of leave it at that. We're very glad that so far it's kind of working out with these collaborations, but a lot more to come. You'll see the University of Morocco and New Delhi, and we have Northeastern and Boston on the list to come. So it's growing, and it's of course not just us, but all these universities that talk to each other in these different of climate zones in a dialogue that's become the kind of informant to what we articulate in these learnings. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Basti, and I think that's a very important work stream of Shift. And actually, I have to contact you. We have a request from the University of Singapore, so I think they have an interesting climate zone they can add. So, as Basti already mentioned, Shift is it's about policy, it's about university network, learning, educating, but as well about changing the image of what modern, future-proof modern architecture would look like, away from the steel, glass, and concrete downtowns of the world and the air conditioning as the comfort equipment. So I'm very happy to introduce now Juergen Benson-Strohmayer. Juergen, I don't know what kind of project you're going to show us, but I'm pretty sure it's not what I just described as what we would like to change. So I hand over to you to give us an insight in real practice architecture for a Shift project.
Yes, thank you so much. I have already shared my screen. I hope it's visible. I'm presenting a project in Ghana where we've been operating for almost 10 years. My office is based between Austria and Ghana. And here you see an image taken in 2018 when we initiated the Fair Trade Zone, which is a project for a Ghanaian women-led and women-owned manufacturing cooperative. And we've been part of the process from the very beginning when we were looking for the land. And here you see one of the directors and the contractor who were all part of the team from the very beginning. The team included also the German Engineers Without Borders and a team from the Technical University of Munich, but also a lot of local experts, and the whole project was built by local tradespeople and contractors. The project is situated in a beautiful savanna landscape. It looks quite remote here, but it's also very connected to a local network of towns. And selecting the land was already one of the important parts because we were trying to create a comfortable and easy place to work for about 200 women. The project was also done in close collaboration with a landscape architect, bringing in features such as agriculture into the project. One of the important aims of the project was that it was not only a manufacturing place, but it also became a sort of civic center for the region. And we oriented courtyards, for example, towards a geographic marker in the area, which is Krobo Mountain seen here, which has historic and cultural significance for the people. A lot of archival and contemporary research was also undertaken. The region was a place of agriculture and trade, which was then lost, and we're now part of this resurfacing of these traditions and economic networks. We also highlighted some aspects such as terracing in our design, which is, all of these parts are very unusual for a manufacturing building as they are built nowadays in Ghana. Our process also included a lot of one-to-one time on site with the people that are going to use the different manufacturing spaces, and many meetings on site with the different trades that were involved. In 2023, we opened the first phase of the project. As you see it here, it looks quite different to a typical manufacturing building, which are popping up around the area. The aim was to create comfortable and dignified workspaces for around 200 women. The first phase, as you see it here, has been realized. There is close integration between the buildings that follow the topography, creating openings, creating courtyards and views to the surrounding landscape, which is a productive landscape that grows the plants that are then used inside of the building. So there's a real cycle, a metabolic cycle between the buildings, the landscape, and around again. There are many services included, innovations for the region, such as rainwater harvesting. We also have different streams of reusing water and upcycling this. So a lot of the architecture is done in really close connection with the landscape and its services and the people. Phase 2 then will look like this. So it was also an important part to think of this in a modular system that can be easily extended. The resulting architecture really worked with passive strategies, creating beautiful places for manufacturing, but also in-between spaces where you can step out into corridors, you can step out into courtyards that then become social spaces. As you can see here in this cross-section, the building sits gently on the land and follows the natural topography and creates different environments. Here is one of the outdoor manufacturing places where batik making is done, and products that are made here are also exported. And that's also how the project was financed. So it was fully self-financed by products that are now being sold also in Germany. And here again, a floor plan that shows how different production lines are run in parallel and also in parallel with the landscape, creating spaces that are fully cross-ventilated and very comfortable. Different aspects of the production happening throughout the building, but also in the landscape and in semi-outdoor spaces shaded by this bamboo screen. And to make this all feasible, we developed a very simple modular construction system that can also be built without our input as they continue the project, working with systems that are known locally, but in part upgraded. So we worked with compressed earth blocks instead of the regular concrete blocks. We worked with lightweight roof construction and bamboo screens for shading, as well as modules of different openings that can then be placed on this modular layout system that is carried throughout the site. And we were part of the whole process, from the bamboo harvesting to the on-site manufacturing of the earth blocks up to the finishes, of course. And the project is currently under use, and there are conversations of how it is continued. There are different projects taking place, different groups that are now there. So it's really become a model for the region, but I believe there are also many transferable aspects internationally that make this a valuable project for Shift and beyond. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Juergen. Yeah, like you said, I think it's a very inspiring project which can serve as a role model and really scale that kind of architecture and thinking. So thank you to all three of you that I think our audience has realized we're doing a lot of things within the Shift initiative. 20 minutes are not enough, but this was more like to give you an insight, a little glimpse, and maybe get you excited and curious. So please go to the website of Shift. You will find more great projects as inspiration. You find more information about the university network, and as well about our policy work and how you can get engaged. These are the upcoming events with Shift. We will have two in Germany, one in June in Wiesbaden alongside the World Design Capital 2026, which is a global event. Will be in June in India, in Mysuru and in Bangalore. And then July 15th, we will be in Hamburg. And then, as you can imagine, the year is not over, so we're in the planning phase on what comes next.